thing. Awesome. I'm gonna kick this thing off. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Prop Live. We do this show every single Thursday at 5 p.m. PST, which it is right now. This is the show where we take your prop and costume making questions and answer them to the best of our abilities. It's usually with a guest. We didn't do that last week because we were beta testing our chat. But this week we got a guest again. My buddy Eric Jarman. Hello, Eric. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, Bill. Long time no see, man. How's it going?
Been a while. I haven't made it to your area of the planet in a while, which is you're in Tennessee? I can't remember. Yes. Yay!
Oh, Music City, Tennessee.
All right. Oh, I forgot to mention, you have a Yingling. I have a delicious cherry, Coke Zero cherry. There we go.
Cheers, good sir.
I wish I had a Yingling. Yeah, welcome everybody to the show. We got some fun stuff. We got some questions we gathered up earlier today, and we also have the live event page. You can post your questions there. They'll show up on my screen and we'll answer them. But first, we're going to talk about some other things, namely the chat, which is working now. You can see it below my name. Boop. And hopefully it won't vanish like it did last week. If you go to punishedprops.com/live, you'll get to read all about how to join the IRC chat. I would recommend downloading your own IRC client. I've got this Hex chat thing going on, and it seems to be working pretty well. Other than that, jump in there and start chatting. We actually have a pretty good amount of people in the live chat right now. That thing is there so that you guys who are watching can chat with one another. You can offer suggestions outside of just asking questions. The Q&A app we have is really cool, but it's really just for asking questions. The chat is there so you guys can chat. And Jarman Props just entered the chat. All right.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Yes. Cool. So that little bit of stuff is going on there. Eric, hey, what have you been up to? What have you been working on?
Oh, well, since you and I exploded the internet in December, I have been inundated with Settlers of Catan orders.
Cool.
So every time I try to make a little bit of progress on my Dragon Con costume, here comes another order for Settlers. So back to painting sheeps and forests and deserts and farms.
So what Eric is talking about some months ago, we both just on happenstance each posted a project. Here we got a picture right here of your Catan pieces that you made. We both posted a project to Reddit like one day after the other to the DIY subreddit, and neither of us knew we were doing it. But each day we each just dominated Reddit, like not even just the DIY. I think we both made it to the front page. Just bonkers.
I went as high as 17 on the front page.
Yeah, which is pretty crazy.
Yay, fake internet points.
Yeah, but you, on the other hand, actually took orders. I decided not to sell any of my coasters. I made like 80 of them for my friends for Christmas, and then I abandoned ship. I didn't want to make any more. But you have been making more, apparently.
Well, hold on. I have a tally mark on my whiteboard. 87 castings of 6 pieces each.
Nice. So, all right.
300 something? 400?
Yeah, that sounds like. Yeah. Are you still taking orders for those, or are you done?
I'm getting pretty close. The mold is on its last legs.
Okay.
I'm thinking 3 or 4 more orders, and then we're done here.
You heard him, folks. If you want to get some really cool custom Settlers of Catan things, now's the time. Go to Jarman Props on Facebook. Right there, Facebook. Look up Jarman Props. Let him know. The other thing, you've been working on some of this armor here, and I want to talk about that because
sure.
you're making it out of foam, aren't you?
Yeah, it's my first actual foam project. I've always hated the stuff, and I have resisted as long as I can, but I'm finally coming around to it. It's cheap, it's really fast, and it's easy to work with. I have all of these great resources. Like this guy wrote a couple books on it.
Yeah, I heard those are pretty good and really funny too.
Yeah. And yeah, I've been following a lot of your work and your techniques, and peppering in a couple of my own little things here and there, but it's going pretty well so far.
I would agree. I've been pretty impressed with your results. Here's the some painted up pieces. Now, what is this armor from?
It's from Gears of War. I actually never played this one, so I don't really know what the character is about, but apparently, you know, it's claws and teeth and giant armor plates and, you know, jeans from the 90s that are, you know, have a wallet chain and they're too baggy for him. So
sweet.
He seemed like a fun character to do.
Well, I would say if people are looking for an example of the sort of extremes that you can turn foam into when you're building armor, I think this is a really great example. There's a lot of different textures on there, a lot of different finishing techniques. You've got like string, like you've done a lot of stitching on there, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake I've made so far with this was stitching it before I painted it, because painting each individual strand that's been wrapped on that it's going to kill me.
Yeah.
if there's one reason why I won't make it to Dragon Con with this, which I am, I promise.
Okay, I'm holding you to that.
Biggie promise. It's going to happen this year. But it's painting those stitchings. It's a nightmare.
Right.
It absolutely is.
So you should have spray painted the whole thing or painted the whole thing and then stitched it all.
Then stitched it. Yes.
Well, let that be a lesson. A little pro tip for the folks at home.
Don't do what I did. Learn from my mistakes.
My buddy Steve Smith does a lot of masks. He did the Psycho mask for Borderlands. He made a new one, and the stitching on that in the new one is not sculpted in. So every casting he pulls out, you got to drill out some 200 holes and then stitch it in.
I hope he's charging double for those, because man, that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, but it looks legit. It looks really great. Cool, man. Well, I'm excited to see that come together, especially because you're gonna totally finish it by Dragon Con. And then last thing I have before we get rolling here, the reason why we have a chat, the reason why we have more and more cool stuff going on with Prop Live is because of you guys. We got 43 wonderful patrons over on patreon.com/punishprops. People who have decided that they want to throw a little bit of their hard-earned cash at making Prop Live better, and you guys are awesome. So anyone who's watching, again, the show is totally free. You can watch it every week. No money involved. But if you want to help, we got some cool goals, including more live content per week. Then head on over to patreon.com/punishprops and throw a little money at it. So thank you, everyone who is our awesome patrons. Other than that, I think it's time to answer some questions. All right. You ready, Eric?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right, hold on to your butts. This first one comes from a regular called Fearless Facade. For weathering techniques, would you recommend dry brushing in layers of dirt and grime, or giving the prop a grime wash and then rub most of it away with a cloth? So what sort of weathering techniques are you using on your sweet new armor, Eric?
Mostly you want to hit it with a priming coat to, even out the surface. With this being foam, I've been just doing the standard Plastidip stuff. Plastidip, prime it, and then hit your base coat if it's metallics or earth tones or whatever like that. Dry brushing, I like to save that more for the highlights. So
yeah, me too.
I just do like a light dry brushing pass on something that's gonna, make the textures and the details pop. I'm pretty heavy-handed when it comes to painting, and so this costume is right up my alley because it's just filthy and torn up and lots of greebles and texturing details in it. I'll usually hose it down with a really soupy mixture of like browns and blacks, and then just kind of wipe away from that, and then just kind of build up layers. One thing I have started doing is not for foam pieces, but for rigid props is once I get a layer looking really good where I like it, I'll just dust it with a matte acrylic sealer so that I don't accidentally wipe away any of those layers that I've done before. So I can continue to build up, texture and that sort of thing.
That's a good tip there. If you do several washes of like acrylic paint right on top of one another one, they can lift each other off. So if you get it looking good, hit it with some sealer before you add a whole bunch more. So yeah, for the most part, when I think weathering dirt and grime, it's the same thing. I'll put a whole bunch of paint on and then I'll wipe most of it away to get those dark recesses. Something I did that was really fun with the Tomb Raider bow I just finished, which if folks are watching, a video I just recently did is the full build video for that. We'll have a link in the show notes for that. You go check it out. I did lots of layers of base coats of just the flat colors. So I did a dark brown for the wood, and then I did like a green, and then like a gray, a light gray, and then like a light tan on different parts of it. And then I sanded it with a sanding sponge to give it a lot more texture, and it would chew down to different layers of paint, revealing like the wood color below. So you could do similar stuff like you're saying with your metal pieces, where let's say you spray it with a metallic and then clear coat it so it's nice and protected, and then paint it with a color like a red or whatever it is. And then when you're weathering it, you could actually sand that color down to the metal color, so long as you don't go too far, and it'll look like those layers of paint have been worn off. So there is another technique you could add to the pile. Thank you for your question, Fearless Facade. This next one here comes from Christopher. He's building a flamethrower from Team Fortress 2. Actually, Eric, did you see Xander's soldier costume that he's putting together?
I did. It looks fantastic.
It's awesome. That one,
flip-flops and all.
Yeah, let me bring that up really quick. Z Props. We had Xander on a couple weeks ago. He's a cool guy. So he's got a rocket launcher. Oh, wait, maybe it was just, I think it was on his personal page, but I'll show this off here. This is the rocket launcher, which is near and dear to my heart because I built, my very first cosplay was doing a Team Fortress 2 soldier. So, right on, building a flamethrower from Team Fortress 2. Let's see here. So, any advice for making a con-safe flame effect? He's thinking of maybe combining the internals of a lightsaber prop with those Halloween cauldron things.
I've actually got a pretty good idea on this one, Bill.
Awesome.
I worked on a thing a couple years ago, as vague as I have to be about it, where we used a exhaust fan for a marine motor. It's super high CFM motor that we use with airsoft, a battery pack, a LiPo battery pack. And then we used a piece of dyed China silk to like do like a water effect, but you could also paint it so it looks like a flame. And using that blower fan at the front end of your prop to blow that China silk out, you can kind of do like the you've seen them in some of the really cheap Halloween effects where it looks like a little flickering flame, but it's just a piece of fabric. I think that would, if you found the right combination of parts for that, you could really get a pretty decent, you know, kind of looking thing. Like if you consider some of those guys using the leaf blowers to blow off toilet paper rolls, do something similar to that, but with like a 4 or 5 foot piece of China silk, I think you could get a really interesting effect with that.
I was just at a musical concert show with Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish, and Less Than Jake had guys run out with that same thing with a leaf blower shooting toilet paper into the crowd, which was fun. Why is my screen all dark? What's going on here? Oh, coming back to me. We're good. I did something. This is very low tech solution. No real motion or anything, but I did this a while ago. I did this in like an afternoon. I put this costume together. It's just like a flamethrower guy, but the fire is just a yellow piece of acetate that I cut out and stuck in there. You could go it'll be static, but it might look okay in photos. If you get like some orange and yellow acetate, which is like a thin, clear plastic or transparent plastic, and layer it, you could probably get a pretty decent sort of like static fire thing. Like when a flamethrower isn't shooting, it's just got a little flame on the end of it. So There's something else. That's the cheap and easy solution. I do like the leaf blower thing though. It sounds like fun.
There's a link up in the chat there that kind of gives you an idea of what we're talking about here.
Oh, cool. Wait, can I do this? Yeah, I can. Look at that.
Same.
Oh, that looks really cool. That looks really, really cool. Oh, by the way, folks, if you are in the chat too, something cool, you can tag me. I think I think I'm Chinbeard today. If you just type Chinbeard and then like put a link there, I can click on it and make it show up right there. So just like Eric did, which is pretty cool. Don't do that with like, you know, porn or anything. Hey, Bill, click on this. Woo! So that was from Christopher. Thank you, Christopher. Good luck with your Team Fortress 2 flamethrower. Let's see. This next one is from Espen. The question is, hey, have any of you tried to make any foam armor or a helmet with a door?
Never. Nope.
No.
Never.
Anything with moving pieces, like I'm figuring like 2 doors, like or a sliding helmet piece. I don't think I've ever actually done it before, but I could probably figure it out, right?
I mean, if you consider using foam as like a living hinge and not actually a mechanical piece, sure, why not?
Yeah, you could even just put a thing, like have it, like let's say we have like a door, like he says, like it's going to open in front of your mouth. You could have a separate piece of foam for the doors, and then behind it, just a thin strip of foam as a hinge. That would be I think the easiest, lowest tech solution there.
Foam's cheap. If you need to replace it, you know, that's...
Yep. Or you could use... Yeah, you could use a piece of cloth. Maybe that would also work. Getting it to stay in place might be tricky. I would recommend magnets. Magnets are awesome with foam.
How do they work?
I don't know. It's the closest thing to magic that I know of. Thank you, Espen, for your question. Good luck with your doors. All right. Let's see here. This one is from Don't Try This at Home. Question is, it's about shipping. What's the best way to ship an 8-foot prop?
Don't.
Yeah, make them come get it. It's a Grand Marshal's Claymore from World of Warcraft, and I don't even know where to begin to try and ship that sucker. Thank you very much. You can do what Harrison did. Let me see if I can find this real quick.
What was it for the Kale hammer? It was like a 7-pound hammer in a 35-pound box that he shipped.
Yeah. But the bow that he's knocking out that
yeah,
crazy freaking
Garuda or
whatever. It's Here we go. I got a picture. So this is the box that the bow goes in, and that's the prop maker in the box.
Well, to be fair, he is rather short.
Yeah, it's true, but it's still I think it's like a 7 or 8 foot prop. So it really depends. I mean, it's going to be expensive no matter what. When you ship it, it's going to be expensive. You will probably want to build a box. That box there is made, I think, out of 2x4s and plywood. So it's going to be really sturdy, but also remember that sturdiness comes with weight, and that means it's going to take more to ship. I can say that I shipped that bow that I made, the Tomb Raider bow. That was 60 inches. So almost 5 feet tall. It weighed 11 or 12 pounds. And priority shipping on that was like $50 with insurance, I think, something like that. So you could imagine what the weight and length of something a little bigger and a significant amount heavier might cost. It might cost $100, $150 to ship. So just keep that in mind.
If it's going overseas, forget it. That's
yeah.
Rough. Yeah.
Make sure the person you're making it for pays for shipping. Eric, what's the largest thing you've ever shipped?
It's not prop related, but I once sold a guitar amp that weighed 140 pounds.
Wow.
And UPS lost it.
Really?
So I had to eat that one. Yeah.
No.
That was my last foray into eBay. Never again. So,
yeah.
Wow.
I gotta think. I've done like some big rifle things. I think those are the biggest things I've shipped. Like the sniper rifle from StarCraft. There we go. with most of that stuff, I will build like a wooden box, like a big wooden box. Most of the time when it comes to expensive shipping, it's usually if you need it fast or if you need it to a different country. Although I will say I just shipped something to Australia and it got there in less than a week, which I was pretty impressed by. I didn't pay for any extra expedited shipping or anything. So good on you, USPS. Sometimes you're pretty good.
Rarely, though.
Yeah. That question came from Don't Try This at Home. Good luck shipping your giant sword. All right. This next one here comes from Noah. Let's see here. Oh, I got to meet. This is from Noah here. I got to meet 3 of your guests you had on your show. Oh, Harrison, Abby, and Keith, and Steven Meisner were all at ACBC, and they were all as nice in person as they seemed on Prop Live. I will say, every single person I've met, like on the internet through costume prop making, when we like met for the first time in person, it was like, hey, you're just as cool. I haven't had any really bad experiences where you run into someone and you're like, it turns out they're a jerk. Except for that Eric guy.
Hey.
Eric's okay, but he kind of smells.
That's why I stay on this side of the camera, Bill.
Yeah. Have you had a pretty similar experience with the old community?
Man, I will say the first time I met David from Two Story Props.
Oh yeah,
I thought he was the biggest douchebag ever, but I guess I caught him on a bad day. I was super excited because I recognized his work from online and I wanted to talk to him about it. And he was just kind of like, meh, whatever. But he is, to be fair, he's a really nice guy. Fantastic prop builder. But I guess everybody has their, times. I know at Dragon Con, Sunday mornings, kind of hungover, not granted, not smelling so great. Everybody has been, you like to build things. We're a bunch of nerds in our basements. Yep.
I'm wondering when the story is going to come out where someone says like, oh, I met that Bill guy at a convention and he was a total turd. Like I work so hard to be just like the nicest, friendliest person when I meet people, but just one day I know, like I'll have broken something, I'll be like half drunk, and someone will be like, "Hey, you're Bill from the internet," and I'll be like, "Die in a fire!"
Slander and lies. It's all lies.
Someday. Anyway, Noah had a question. Let's see. I'd like to try my hand at casting and wondering what the best type of casting is for a beginner. Like a 1-part or a 2-part, what materials, and I don't know what I'm casting yet. So, yeah, I would go with a 1-part mold. How about you? Nice
Open
and simple.
space, box mold. That's about as simple as it gets, really.
I agree. I didn't do that personally. I started with a 2-part mold, and guess what? It was terrible. I ruined my master. It was a nightmare. I didn't spray mold really. I used urethane to make the mold for some reason. I don't know why. And
yeah, that gets pretty tricky with urethanes.
Yeah, and I didn't do any oh my god, there's an ad. Sorry about that. Yeah, I didn't put mold release when I poured on the second layer, and I didn't realize it until midnight. And when I ran downstairs to check, it had already been ruined.
Too late.
So here we go. There's a video on Tested's YouTube channel. They've done a couple of here we go. They've done a couple of mold making tutorials, and this one here is called "How to Make Resin Copies of 3D Printed Figures" with Norm and Frank Ippolito. We'll put a link to this in the show notes for sure. They do a 1-part mold there, a very simple 1-part mold. They have a bust of Norm's head. They pour some silicone on it. Let's see here. They make a mold box. Oh no, wait, they did a couple. There we go. This is the little Tested logo. They make a mold box. They pour silicone on it. Let's see.
What do they use? Umu?
I think they use Umu, yeah. And then they pop out the masters and they pour some copies, which is pretty cool. So that's the video. When people ask me about a really cool beginner's mold making tutorial, I send them to that thing. It's pretty good. 1-part molds. Pretty good to, and and small too. My first mold making experiment was big and expensive and a failure.
Silicone is expensive. Don't waste it.
Yeah. Do you know what what your first mold making foray was, Eric?
No, I really don't. It was feels like a long time ago, but it really wasn't. It was probably something Halo related.
Yeah.
Probably like the hand plates. Just dump a bunch of silicone on, see what happens. Also, I guess a good tip I could give for that is start with tin cure silicones. They're much more forgiving than platinums.
Yes. At least when I started doing silicone molds, that's after I stopped using urethane, because why was I using that? I went straight to tin cure silicones, and it is very forgiving, which is nice.
Yeah. Cool. Rebound 25 was my go-to for a really long time, and then I kind of figured out why am I using this? It's more expensive, it's more finicky, though to be fair, Rebound 25 is incredibly stable for a platinum.
It really is. Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that stuff a lot. So yeah, there you go, Noah. Good luck. Start small and make a 1-part mold. All right. Let's see here. Next question. Petros wants to know, there's a Harbor Freight that just opened by my house. What would you buy from Harbor Freight, and what would you what would you not be stingy about buying? So things that are worth buying at Harbor Freight versus things that are not worth buying at Harbor Freight.
Foam, and that's it. And
just
gloves.
Yeah, any materials that are disposable materials. Anything like cups or floor mats or just like break off blades for your knife or anything like that. Those are the things that are worth getting at Harbor Freight. High quality power tools, on the other hand,
not so much.
Not so much. No. If you're looking to get a good deal on a good power tool, find a good one and see if someone is selling it on Craigslist used. Because a good bandsaw from 1950 will still work and still do the one thing it was designed to do. Let's see. I have a good question for you, Eric. Have you ever purchased a power tool from Harbor Freight, and was it a nightmare? And
I'm a very slow learner, Bill. I've bought several tools from them.
Me too.
And every time it broke after about using it 3 times, I swore, never again, never again. And then they send out all these wonderful coupons that are, hey, this thing was $300, but now it's 27 cents. Buy it? And I do, and then it's a disaster.
Yeah.
If it's a tool that you only plan on using once ever for one project, yeah, Harbor Freight might be okay for it, but it's definitely not a place to buy tools that are going to last for more than 6 months.
Right.
Ever.
I have a circular saw I got from there, and I use it maybe once a year to break stock down. That's it. I don't use it for any like precision or anything. So that's been pretty good. I will say, though, that I bought a good blade for it. I didn't use the blade that came with it, because the blade that came with it turned wood into shards of splinters. I
see in your chat there, Don't Try This at Home says they bought the belt sander from Harbor Freight. I too bought the belt sander from Harbor Freight on sale for like $50. Took it back in like 3 days, bought a Ryobi. It's been a workhorse ever since. So it was only, I think it was only like a $50 or $60 difference between the two, but the quality is, there's no comparison. Like they say that quality is remembered long after price is forgotten. And if there's any store that's going to make that true, it's Harbor Freight.
Yeah. Cool. So there you go. There's some recommendation for you, Petros. Good luck. Go, definitely go check it out. But you generally stick to disposable commodities.
Yeah, especially this weekend, Memorial Day sale. They've got a lot of free coupons for you buy anything in the store and you bring the coupon, you get like 24 batteries for free. Electric fly swatter. I'm gonna go get one of those this weekend. That'll be pretty cool.
Is that really? Oh, hold on. Here we go.
Check your email. There it is.
Oh, I got it right here. These flashlights right here. I have so many of those free. 27 LEDs. It comes with 3 AAA batteries in it and a toggle switch. So you rip that buddy apart, you've got some good stuff in there. Look at this. 5mm nitro powder-free gloves, 100 pieces, $6.50. grab some of those. I can tell you right now that I have this 11 drawer black roller, and it's crap. The rollers, the drawer rollers on there are pretty terrible. I don't like
Bill,
it.
I will say this: those batteries, they are what's it, the Magnum brand, I think they're called, or Thunder Magnum or something. Doing a lot of research for the Halloween costume I did last year, that the LED light up suit that took like 60 something AA batteries. That is actually one of the higher rated off-brand batteries at Harbor Freight.
Wow.
So compared to like Rayovac and the Sunbeam, the crappy ones you get from the dollar store, those are actually, they actually outperform pretty much everything besides the legitimate disposable alkaline batteries. So
cool.
You know,
I will say that this 20-ounce HVLP gravity feed spray gun, I have this one, and now that I've started using catalyzed paints and fillers in that, at $10, that thing is definitely a disposable commodity because I am going to ruin it eventually. When I do, I'll go buy another one.
The $20 version is actually pretty good. The little touch-up gun, but you know, you could buy 2 of the crappy ones for that.
True. I may have to get a smaller, this smaller touch-up gun. I may have to get one, like a decent one of those too. I don't know. Anyway, there you go. That's Harbor Freight, everyone. Just get stuff you plan on throwing away. All right, this next one here comes from Suzanne. She's having a problem with her Krylon Fusion spray paint. She says, whenever I use Krylon Fusion spray paint and sealer, it ends up making my foam prop a little sticky afterwards. Does this happen to you guys at all, or am I doing something wrong? It could be any number of things. It could be heat and moisture in the air where you live. It could also be whatever clear that you're spraying over it doesn't like the Krylon Fusion. I know Krylon makes their own clear spray paint. So you may want to try and go with that. There's someone on I think someone's dancing on my back porch. I don't know what's going on out there. Anyway. Oh, they dropped off books. Hooray! We ordered a bunch of books because we sell books, and it looks like they just showed up. Eric, you have any insight into paint not drying?
I think you covered it. It's a pretty generalized problem. It could be, you know, like you said, paint's not liking each other. It could be contamination in the base coat. I think the best thing you can do is just do a couple test pieces before you paint the prop that you spent so much time on. Find out what works and what doesn't work before you have to strip everything back down and reprime it and paint it. I haven't used a lot of Krylons. I tend to go for more of the Dupli colors.
Those are the automotive ones?
Yeah, just personal preference, really. Yep. But, you know, actually with a lot of this foam work now, I've gotten more into hand painting with acrylics, which is really, really easy because, you know, screw up, you just...
I've been enjoying the Tamiya paints for a lot of that stuff. Those are pretty good. Cool. All right. Well, there's some stuff for you to try, Suzanne. I definitely always recommend whenever you're working with new materials or paints or anything, like you said, Eric, scrap pieces, do small scale tests before you go and put it on your big old finished piece. All right. Thank you for your question, Suzanne. Oh, good. Eating on camera, brought to you by Eric Jarman.
Nom, nom, nom.
This
hopefully it's loud enough that the mic picks it up and puts the video over to me.
Oh, it sure does. This next one comes from Old Gamers Rule. This question says, I'm wanting to make the dragon armor from Dracula Untold. Let's see, any suggestions doing all the scale details that isn't going to make me want to turn to drink? There's nothing wrong with turning to drink.
That's an integral part of prop making.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Let me see, Dracula Untold. I think, you know what? Yeah, let me see here. That's this guy. This badass looking dude right here. Boop. So someone did this armor out of foam. and they made it look really, really amazing. And if you give me a second, I can go find it for you. What do you think, Eric? Would you do that one out of foam?
Yeah, I'm not much for leather working. I think Lee or Kathy might be, that might be right up their alley. But if I were going to make that and I had to make it out of foam, I'd probably make a stamp, like a texture stamp that I could, heat the foam up, smash stamp into it. You get that repeating pattern. Yeah, something like that.
Here we go. This is, as soon as it loads, from Real Illusion. There's the thing, and his face is cut off. I don't know why, but I can click on this and it'll open their page. So Real Illusion Creations did that. I don't know if it's a he or she, but there again, there's the super cool costume. That is exactly the costume that that Old Gamers Rule is talking about, and it was all done out of foam, which is crazy awesome. Your question on doing it in a way that's not frustrating, when you're talking about that amount of scale detail, it's just going to be very time consuming. So just be prepared for that.
Oh, hey, what about this? If they were to use that technique where you trace your pattern out and then score it into the foam with an X-Acto blade, and then hit it with the heat gun, contracts the foam, creates that nice dimensional texture pattern without having to carve it out by hand. Yeah,
you could definitely do that. I like that one a lot. Looks like with the shoulder, like a lot of this scale detail you could do that way, these lines. These shoulder pieces here would have to be raised up, so you'd want to add layers on top of that for some of it. But you might be able to knock out a lot of those scale pieces pretty quickly with that technique that you described. Either way, Old Gamers Rule, you have your work cut out for you, sir. So good luck with your build. If you do end up making that, let me know. I want to see it. Will it be done for Dragon Con? Cool. All right, next one here. Christian wants to know, I run my own non-profit haunted house. What's the best way to get props for dirt cheap?
Run the haunted house for profit.
Yeah,
use the profits to buy props.
Yeah, or make them yourself. I get a lot of people who ask me, they're doing like a low budget film, which is awesome, and they want to get props or costumes for it, and they have a custom idea they want for their character, so that they can't just go paint a Nerf gun. They need something built from scratch. If you don't have a budget for it, you can't get things built from scratch unless you do it yourself. So I would say DIY, get into it.
There's a lot of tutorials for doing like zombie makeup using liquid latex and like latex gloves, where you can build it up and use tissue paper to kind of make the skin. All of those materials are super cheap. Toilet paper and liquid latex. You can do some pretty convincing zombie stuff with that. Other haunted house horror kind of stuff, just do some research on that. You can go from a budget of nothing up to hundreds of thousands of dollars for creature effects. Yep. So it's just, what you have the budget for.
Mostly the budget is your time and how much of that you want to spend on it. So good luck, Christian, with your dirt cheap non-profit haunted house. I would definitely like your Eric's for-profit haunted house. I like that idea. All right, here we go.
They charge based on how much pee you let out during the ride, right?
All right, this next one comes from Don't Try This at Home. What do you guys do on days when everything you put your hands on turns to crap and pisses you off?
Drink.
Yeah. That's what I do on days that I enjoy, too. I don't know. There's a trend. Yeah, but sometimes those days are unavoidable. Sometimes at the end of your day, you want to say, all right, everything turned to crap and it's a total wash. Generally, my attitude is like, what did I learn? And if you have to list what you learned, even if the only thing you learned that day was never do this again, then you learned something. And then there's a tiny bit of value that you can extract from a totally wasted day.
I like to break stuff. All of my reject castings for helmets and things that I'm not going to send out the door to anyone, I'll hold on to those while I have space, And, you know, if you really need to let off some steam, just taking a 4-pound hammer to a Mass Effect helmet and just watching it explode. Wear safety glasses, of course. Very cathartic. Very, yeah.
I like to think you just being like, oh, damn it, I'm so mad. I got to break some. Wait, safety glasses on? Okay, let's break something.
I need my eyes. You know.
The worst
let's not get crazy here, Bill.
I did like football spike a jigsaw into the ground. I was very mad at it. It was, hey, go figure. It was a jigsaw I purchased at Harbor Freight. It was not functioning the way it was advertised, and I just spiked it into the concrete. I think that was the most pissed I got. But then I think I went and bought another one from Harbor Freight.
They're like an abusive relationship that you just can't get out of.
Yeah, it's true. Although I have my Amazon wish list. Let's see, where's my wish list? Am I logged in? Where's my wish list? On my wish list, I have a saw. Let's look it up here. No, that's not how it works. Anyway, I have a saw. I have a new jigsaw. It's a DeWalt battery-operated jigsaw. The problem is that one's like $150, and the one I got at Harbor Freight was like $12. And I don't use a jigsaw very frequently. All right, thank you. Don't try this at home. Yes, sometimes we all have very frustrating days. All right, what time is it? We got about 15 minutes left, and we got a couple questions left. We'll keep hammering away at these things. This one's from Nate. Nate says, Bill, is summer in making an indie movie, and let's see here. Oh, I need some custom props. How do you create concepts and ideas for your weapons and armor? So it looks like Nate is building an indie movie, and he wants to think about doing concepts.
Oh, so like a bullwhip and like a fedora, little golden idol kind of thing.
Indie movie, yeah.
It writes itself, man. I mean,
I will say I haven't been posting them very recently. I haven't been doing them very recently too. But I have a sketchbook, and I just have most of the pages in here. Let's see if I can find something. Actually, this thing is almost full. A lot of the pages in here are concept drawings that I have of guns. So there's like an axe and a gun and a bow. And I will draw stuff even if I'm not designing something I need right now. Like there's some more guns and stuff. Even if I don't need it. So that when I do need something, I can go look at my sketchbook and pick bits and pieces that I like. Actually, there's the concept sketch I did for a bow I made a while ago. So, and actually, if I go back again, this is a really cool thing that I can do, if it's still here. So here, when I was talking with the client about that, there's a bunch of preliminary sketches I did. I did these really quickly. And I liked them, and I told the client, I said, what do you like? What speaks to you? And she picked this one here. So then I sort of expanded on that design for the final design.
Britt hit the nail on the head right there. Pinterest is such a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I've got a couple boards that have hundreds of sci-fi armors and robot things.
I have a board, a private board that I just keep for myself of other people's stuff, and I do believe it's called Sci-Fi Armor. Let me see if I can actually sign into Pinterest, and I will show you guys. But yeah, it's amazing. Like, people have this assumption that Pinterest is for like knitting and silly crafting stuff, and in reality, you can find almost anything on there that you really like. Let's see here. Where are my boards at? There's my boards. No, I have private boards. There they are. So this guy right here, while it's loading, this is all just stuff I found on Pinterest that are examples of really cool looking sci-fi armor. So if I'm looking for inspiration for one of my own designs, this is where I go. And this is stuff that I've collected just over the last year or two. I throw it in there. And then I'm like, oh, it's a really cool looking helmet. And then I may borrow bits and pieces from that design for a project that I might be working on. Or let's see, what else do I have in here? Go back. I have a fantasy weapons one. So a bunch of Yeah, like, oh, look at that bow. So cool. Crazy weird axe thing. Some of these are guns. I don't know why they're in the wrong board. But there you go. That's what I do. Pinterest, everybody. Not just for knitting. Yes, so good luck, Nate, with your indie movie. Remember, slide under the thing and then reach back and grab the hat. That's how they do it.
Why'd it have to be snakes?
I actually got a buddy of mine had I believe it was the head of the staff of Ra, that cool thing. A casting, I think he said it was off of the movie casting. I can't be sure. I can't remember.
Ooh,
but I got to play with one of those. It was like cast in brass, and it was awesome. Let's see here. All right.
That part has been making the rounds on some of the 3D printing forums as like a tester part, which is pretty cool.
Yes. This next one comes from Ben. Ben wants to know, what are some alternative methods for heating EVA foam besides a heat gun? You could use, now I don't recommend you put foam in the oven. That's a bad idea. But you can use like the heating element on your stove gets pretty hot, like on the surface. I would not recommend doing this if it has an open flame, because that may catch your foam on fire and that'd be bad. But if you have like an electric stove, that gets pretty warm. You can just hold your foam near that, maybe with the fan going. But I would say get a heat gun. That's a good thing to get from Harbor Freight.
Yeah, they're $10. Yeah, that's probably the one tool I would get from Harbor Freight. But I have seen a lot of guys using a propane torch on their foam.
Yeah,
But,
that's right.
I mean, that puts out a lot of heat, but at the same time, it's really easy to scorch your foam. Lots of smoke. You just got to be really careful with it, and I definitely prefer the heat gun over basically any other kind of heat source for forming that kind of stuff.
I agree. It's got, I think, the highest level of control. All right, there you go, Ben. Just buy a heat gun. Problem solved. Okay, let's see here. Patrick wants to know if a laser cutter can cut Mylar, or more specifically, could you put a bunch of tiny holes in the Mylar? It's pretty reflective, and he has some ideas for doing like glowing eyes and glasses and stuff. Now, it depends on what substrate Mylar uses. Let's see. Let's find out, everybody. Mylar is a reflective wall covering used in greenhouses. That's a Wikipedia. BOPET. Biaxially oriented polyethylene. Let's see. It's a polyester film. I don't know. I don't know if you can laser that stuff or not. If it's safe or not.
There's a Hackaday that says you can, but I don't think it's the type of Mylar he's talking about, because it's a clear film with no backing on it.
Hold on. All right. I printed this list out for my laser, and it's great. It says never cut these materials, and it lists and it says why. It's a bunch of safe materials, and then stuff for etching. So, for example, never cut PVC, poisonous. There you go. Let's see, thick polycarbonate or Lexan, because it cuts very poorly. ABS is generally not. Let's see, I don't see Mylar, or what was it? Polyester. I don't know. Yeah, Mylar. No, safe materials. Mylar. It says right here, works well if it's thin. Thick Mylar has a tendency to warp. So yeah, you could totally cut Mylar with a laser.
They do make a reflective backed acrylic, clear acrylic with a mirror backing on it. If you were to heat form that and laser cut it, acrylic cuts very well. So
there you go.
Man.
Either of those will work, but according to this piece of paper I printed off the internet, you can totally laser cut Mylar. All right. Let's see. This next one comes from Jason, like JSON. Let's see here. Making a Ruby Neptune scythe that has a giant glowing blade. I'm pretty low tech and budget, so I don't want to get into molding in resins. I was thinking about building the main body with foam, looking for ideas for the glowy bits. Let me see if I can find a picture real quick. RWBY. Neptune.
Glowy bits.
See. Glowy bits, big things, and glowing can start to get kind of tricky. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? I've seen this. I think I've seen this scythe before. Let's see. There it is. And image. Okay. So this is what we're talking about right here. This is a giant scythe. I don't know which bits on here are glowy. It looks pretty static. No, no real glowy bits there. But I would recommend, usually for big things, doing it out of like an insulation foam to keep it lightweight. What would you go with if you had to make a scythe that's taller than you, Eric?
Oh, definitely foam. But for glowy bits, I have, hold on here. This link going into the chat now. Okay, that one. Boop. Cheapest source for 50/50 SMD lights I've found, and those are all 12 volt. They're what's considered dumb lights, so you can control all of them at the same time, but you can do pretty much any color with them if you have a controller for it. But $10 for 300, yeah, you cannot beat that price.
Yeah, hard to go wrong with those right there. We'll put a link to these guys in the show notes for sure. Yeah, cool. So, and also that I will say too, that scythe is pretty popular. I've seen several people do it. So go see what other people have done when they built theirs. Just by doing a quick image search here, I see one here. This I don't know what this is from or who did it, but and it's a tiny stupid picture. Why do you put tiny pictures on the internet? Here we go. There's an image right there. So Cost Joy, whoever that is, built the big old thing there. So yeah, other people have solved that problem before. So go see what they've done.
To give you an idea how bright those lights are, there you go.
We got a video. Oh, these are the ones you put in your crazy weird costume?
Yes.
Holy crap. That's crazy. Well, there you go. Those lights mean business. Very good. Cool. Well, there's some ideas for you, Jason. Good luck. And that's we don't have any more questions in the Q&A app, you guys. So Eric and I are just gonna drink our drinks until they start showing up again. Oh, here we go. This is another thing here. Neptune's weapon. Oh, this is here we go. So this might have been a different one. Let's see. That are these the glowy bits? The little lights in there. So that might be it. But I think like your lights that you were talking about there would work pretty well for that. Just get like some teal or blue ones.
That might be overkill for that kind of application. For something like that, I might use something like this. They're a little underpowered for some things, but if you just need a real subtle kind of light to it,
yeah, those are pretty good.
The little fairy lights, those are great.
Yeah, I grabbed a bunch of those for my last Foamsmith book, and they're crazy cheap, and they come with the batteries and everything. You just turn them on, they work fine. Excuse me, and they're awesome. So there's a couple things for you to try that are cheap for sure. Definitely go with something cheap and easy. As far as the Trident goes, I would still consider making it out of foam to make it lightweight, although that's not as massive as that scythe, so you may have some leeway there. Yeah, there you go. Some really good ideas there. Cool. And yeah, Alex, don't try this at home. Says, sorry, Bill, we're all having too much fun in the chat. You've created a monster over there. Yeah, there's a good chunk of people in the chat right now. You guys, I see you down there. I see you chit-chatting away. So I'm really glad you guys are enjoying that. That's cool. I also like that people can link stuff and then I can bring it up on the screen right away. That's really handy, especially if I need to grab some images. All right. Well, let's say we wrap this thing up. What do you got coming up, Eric? Other than that costume, you got any other cool projects you're working on?
No. pretty much that's it. Just trying to keep my options limited for Dragon Con this year.
That's good.
I started working on my Power Racing Series kart. It's been kind of slow at work, so might be doing a little mini, Halo Warthog based off of Vulpin Props' chassis that he has so graciously shared. Their Goo-Con is coming up in July down in Atlanta, so probably going to go to that.
Goo-Con.
Goo-Con, yeah. I think that's about it until Dragon Con, man. It's pretty quiet around here over the summer. So
awesome. Cool. Goo-Con sounds fun. I'm also going to I think of it, Construct. My friend Alyssa, you probably know Alyssa, I imagine. Yeah. I will be there next weekend, so after the next Prop Live.
Is that up in New York?
Yep, Construct. So construct-fx.com, May 30th and 31st. I'm going to do 2 panels, one on, I think, foam armor making, one on photography, actually. And then I'm doing a workshop on foam weapon making, where folks get to go to the workshop. I believe they get a book and they get some tools. And then from start to finish, they get to build a little weapon, which will be really fun. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be awesome. Well, another good show. Thank you, Eric, so much for being here. It's been a blast.
Thank you, sir.
And that'll wrap it up, everyone. Until next week, head on out there and make some stuff because it's awesome and fun. And now you know everything you need to know. Bye, everybody.
Bye.